As I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, the Georgia Guidestones were blown up recently. Now, I talked about this last week. You don't have to see the previous video to understand the context here. I'll provide the context if it's missing. But I wanted to talk about it again because we have some conspiracy theorists coming out of the woodwork, coming up with explanations for why they were blown up that direct away from them. When I talked about it last week, I talked about this guy named Stu Peters, right here on the left, and I talked about Candace Taylor. Now, Candace Taylor was running to be governor of Georgia, and one of her campaign platforms or campaign positions was, I'm going to demolish the Georgia Guidestones. That was her plan. Stu Peters on the left helped her make that campaign ad. He is a conspiracy theorist in the truest sense. In fact, he's a flat earther. It doesn't get much more conspiracy theorist than that. But he's got a massively popular right-wing show on Rumble, the video competitor to YouTube, basically. Extremely influential on Rumble and podcasts and places like that. Last time I talked about it, I showed this picture. Satan always loses, God always wins. This was Stu Peters' announcement that he was going to be talking about the Georgia Guidestones being blown up in a terrorist attack. I really don't know what else to call it. That's what it was. So he was going to talk about it in this show that he was doing, and the show came out. We got some interesting little tidbits from it. Before we talk about it, though, let me just show the clip one more time for the video audience of the Guidestones being blown up. See, it was at like 4 a.m. roughly on July 6th. We have CCTV footage of it. It's pretty clear that it was blown up by a bomb, right? Doesn't get much more clear than that. Afterward, they were demolished for safety purposes. They couldn't stand. Yeah, I mean, I'm not emotionally invested in these things. I don't really care. I feel like some of the advice they gave was questionable at best. But, you know, conspiracy theorists, particularly Alex Jones, latched onto it and insisted that it was part of the cabal expressing their intentions and just all kinds of crazy stuff. It basically listed 10 things that they believed that society should do in the event of like a nuclear holocaust or something. These are the 10 things you should keep in mind while rebuilding society. And some of them were questionable. Like they suggested we should go the eugenic route, breeding people to be diverse and strong. And it was just weird. I'm not invested in these. Like I said, it's just I don't like to bow to terrorist actions. This is a clip of Stu Peters and Candace Taylor talking about the Guidestones and the political ad that she made demonizing them, basically. I played this on my last one, but I just want to play it again for you guys so that you have that missing context if you need it. Listen to this. This one came out early May 2022, so give it a listen.
We're going to absolutely destroy the Georgia Guidestones, demolish them, bulldoze them, and reject their demonic message once and for all. You're the only candidate willing to go head-to-head with the Luciferian cabal.
Only candidate willing to go head-to-head with the Luciferian cabal. So I take that to mean the Luciferian cabal is the one that erected the Guidestones in the first place. This should give you an idea of how conspiratorial they already are. Before they even talked about the Guidestones, they were nutter butters.
You went to these Georgia Guidestones with our executive producer, Lauren Witzke, and part of our film division.
Lauren Witzke, by the way, is a white supremacist extremist. We talk about her in a little while, and I'll get into her more when we get there. Just keep listening.
How did you feel when you were there?
It was overwhelming, really. You know, it's kind of surreal, and I was kind of...
If you're watching, this is what the Guidestones look like. This is a video footage of what they say on the front.
Kind of an awe of how many people showed up there, and the people walking up there, they looked like they were walking up there trying to find something, looking for something. And, you know, in my heart, I was in the car praying, they're looking for you, Jesus. They're looking for you. And as they're looking for you, they're finding this in my state, that's in the Bible Belt, that's conservative. And it made my skin crawl.
So, needless to say, they absolutely hate the Georgia Guidestones for no real reason. They've just demonized them. They bought into Alex Jones's whole bit about how evil they are and they're satanic and this and that. It's just crazy, man. So now that they've been destroyed, here's the real question. How are these people responding to it? Because when the George Floyd protests were happening, these people went on and on about how people were rioting and making a mess of communities and attacking people and blah, blah, blah. Black Lives Matter is violent, all this other stuff. So now that we have a clear example, I mean, we have a billion clear examples of Trump supporters getting violent, the most notable of which would probably be January 6th. But here's a pretty notable example. Another one. Trump supporters taking terrorist action. What's their response to it now? How are they squaring that circle? What perspective are they looking at this from? What lens are they looking at it from? That's the question, right? This one came out July 12th, 2022. This is after the Guidestones were destroyed. This is Stu Peters' response to it. Listen to this.
I'm sure a lot of you are now aware, the other day that Georgia Guidestones were destroyed in some kind of a blast.
Some kind of a blast. Okay, that's relevant in a second. Keep listening.
One of the tablets with the commandments on them smashed to pieces, and the rest of the Guidestones were deemed a safety hazard and demolished by the state with a backhoe.
He believes that these are the Luciferian Cabal's commandments. He thinks that this is a 10 Commandments statue to Satan. In reality, it was just like a guidestone to help people rebuild society, and the advice it had wasn't even that good, in all honesty. I feel like calling it 10 Commandments to Satan is a little far, but okay, let's keep going.
Well, now police and the media are claiming that the Guidestones were destroyed in a bombing.
That's pretty clear from the evidence. We thought that from the very beginning. What else could it be, I hear you asking?
There's video of the Guidestones being destroyed, and the most likely explanation isn't a bomb, but instead a lightning strike.
A lightning strike. That is right. He believes it was a lightning strike. Does he really believe it, though? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's hard to tell with this guy. What does he have to gain by lying about this ridiculous belief? What does he have to gain by lying about believing in the flat earth? It seems like he's got nothing to gain to me. What a ridiculous supposition. If that isn't ridiculous enough for you, though, I'll prove to you that it was a bomb in a second. Just bear with me.
There's a streetlight immediately next to the Guidestones, and at the exact moment that they are destroyed, the light brightens immensely, just like you'd expect if there was an electrical surge. So the most likely case isn't a bombing, which so far authorities have released no evidence of, but instead the most likely explanation is lightning, which would also make perfect sense because it's entirely appropriate for God to personally destroy the Georgia Guidestones.
The guy seriously believes that God struck the Guidestones with lightning because he's so upset that they exist. That is wild. Wait, they're granite, aren't they? Is granite conductive material? I mean, I know lightning will travel through basically anything if it's a shorter path to the ground or practically anything, but I feel like granite is not very conductive. Anyways, I just want to point out that there is no rain, there isn't a cloud in the sky, no evidence of lightning or adverse weather of any sort, and if that isn't enough for you to prove it, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, the Georgia version of the FBI, released footage the same day of somebody walking up to the Guidestones and planting something there, running away, and then the explosion. Watch. See the little guy running up? You see him there? And then he runs away? And then shortly after, boom. How about that? How about that? Seems to me, what was that Stu Peters said again? Let me just step back. Listen one more time. What was that again, Stu?
So the most likely case isn't a bombing, which so far authorities have released no evidence of.
Actually, they did. This video came out on the 12th of July. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations released the clip of that guy running up to the Guidestones 6 days before he filmed this. So yes, there was evidence for it at the time, Stu. My God. And there's absolutely zero evidence of a lightning strike on them. None. As far as this weird little effect with the light that he's talking about, let's watch the original clip, because I honestly do not trust a single thing that Stu Peters releases. Let's watch it. I have it here. Watch this. This is the actual original footage that I got from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So let's just give it a watch, frame by frame if we have to. Okay, looks like there is some kind of a bright flash or something from the light, but if you notice, the light is still on afterward, so it wasn't a massive surge of power that shot through it. It would have made the bulb explode. Hi, Safe. The light flash was caused by overpressure. Whoever blew up the stones had powerful explosives. Not dynamite, but like Torpex. Interesting. I would love to talk to somebody at length about how all of this worked and why there was a flash and all that other stuff. But yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. There is absolutely no evidence that it's lightning, and there are, in fact, other explanations for this street light lighting up, or what appears to be a street light. I mean, look, we can clearly see here it's blowing out from the side. You can clearly see the guidestone blowing up from the side and then the top of it falling and crumbling. You can see exactly where they planted it. And this is from the other side. It's falling. See? That was not a lightning strike. Anyway, yeah, Stu Peters is just ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous on so many levels. I can't even with this guy. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. But there's more. As it turns out, Lauren Witzke, who works for Stu Peters, she's a white supremacist, and she was also a Delaware candidate for Congress in 2020, I think, who lost against the Democrat opponent. She had some things to say about it, too, mid-July 2022. Listen to this. This is on her show.
Georgia Guidestones was an example of that, and thank God they're gone. I think it was lightning.
Could have been. Like,
I think it was like, I don't believe the videos they put out. There's no timestamp on them. It was like...
Yes, there was. There was a timestamp on. What are you talking about?
Super low. It was sketchy. I think they're doing a mass cover-up to hide that God said, and shot a laser or a lightning bolt down. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
A laser, huh? Fascinating. Well, you know, if you believe that, you're going to have to give us some evidence for it. And you're going to have to explain the little man running across to the Guidestones, planting a device, dropping something. If you look really closely, in the top right corner, you can see them placing something right there. You can see them placing it down and then running away. And then just a minute later, boom. We also have footage of a vehicle fleeing the scene shortly after. When their side does vandalism, when vandalism is taking place as the direct result, not just vandalism, but a terrorist situation, like a terrorist attack, like we saw with the Guidestones, when that kind of thing happens on their side, they come up with every explanation in the book to push blame off onto somebody else, up to and including God did it.
I think it was like, I don't believe the videos they put out. There's no timestamp on them. It was like super low. It was sketchy. I think they're doing a mass cover-up to hide that God said, and shot a laser or a lightning bolt down. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I believe it.
You're going to have to give us some evidence if you want anyone else to believe that. Well, that's not true, actually. She has a pretty big platform, and people will believe anything she says without evidence. So there's that. Here's the interesting thing, though. Our old buddy Candace Taylor, ex-gubernatorial candidate for Georgia, had some things to say about it, too. Early July 2022. Listen to this one.
I believe vandalism is illegal.
Okay, that's not a belief. That's something that you know or don't know. That, you know, you accept that fact or you don't. Yes, vandalism is illegal. Okay?
And sometimes people like to call vandalism instead of actually giving God credit because they don't know how to explain what happens when God moves. So until I see a video that shows me anything but what looked like lightning or the hand of God moving on a situation, I'm going to believe that it was God. If it was vandalism, then there's cameras everywhere, all over the place.
Who's going to tell her? Is somebody going to tell her? Or are we just going to let her keep living in her fantasy land?
They would have picked that up, and those people should be brought to justice.
I superimposed the video of the guy running up to it while she was talking.
Do not put words in my mouth. I am keeping record, video footage, screenshots, and every single thing that's being said that's a lie, I'm keeping it. I believe in law and order in this country.
Great. Keep it. I'm happy for you. That sounds fantastic. Go ahead. I'm totally A-okay with you keeping screenshots of Twitter conversations where people disagree with you. She is indirectly responsible for this. She made her entire campaign about destroying the satanic 10 Commandments known as the Georgia Guidestones. And lo and behold, when she loses, somebody decides to go and blow them up. How about that? How about that? What are the chances? This is called stochastic terrorism right here. This is a perfect example of it. Candace Taylor contributed to the environment that led to this. Bill O'Reilly demonized a doctor named Dr. Tiller for years. He performed abortions on people, and he demonized him to the point where somebody finally took it into their own hands to do something about it, and now Dr. Tiller is gone. I believe they showed up at his church and attacked him, and he's gone now because Bill O'Reilly demonized him. That is stochastic terrorism. That's what that is. And this is another example of it. Now, in this case, I love how they're calling this vandalism. Blowing up a structure is vandalism. I don't think that's quite the right word here. Like the events on January 6th, they call that vandalism. No, not quite. No, I think vandalism is a little bit different. Vandalism is spray painting something on the side of a building. Vandalism is knocking over a trash can. This is full-blown terrorism where you're blowing up a structure with a bomb. This is not vandalism, Candace. Here's another clip of her talking about it, though, weirdly. July 13th. Listen to this one.
Struck by lightning. There's been meteorologists that have looked at the video. They see the charge of the lights behind it.
Which meteorologists? Who? Give me names. Give me evidence. Something. I'll take anything. I don't know of any meteorologists. What would a meteorologist even look at? There wasn't a cloud in the sky. There wasn't a single raindrop on the cameras or anywhere around. The ground wasn't wet. There was nothing. I get that there's dry lightning, but usually, commonly, lightning comes with rain, right? There wasn't any evidence of any sort that a lightning strike would come down. You know their answer to that one? God doesn't need rain clouds to make lightning. That's their answer to it. God can just point at something and strike it with lightning. We need evidence. She's claiming to have evidence here. Meteorologists, blah, blah, blah. Give me the names. Would you be surprised to find that she doesn't, in fact, give us the names in this video?
You know, getting bigger, and then they see the purple-blue haze, the heliotrope after that happens in a lightning strike. Right. And so it went from that to an explosion. Well, was it an explosion from lightning? I don't know, but that is what it looks like to me.
You're claiming that there are meteorologists who have testified to this, of course not giving us the names of the meteorologists. If that were true, you wouldn't be saying, I don't know. You would be saying, I know for a fact it was lightning because these people, these scientific experts, have testified to this fact. Or are you just making it up?
It looks like to me. That is what it looks like the specialists who know lightning strikes. Right. But yet I was painted that I never said anything about blowing up the Guidestones. I said via bulldozer.
No, she didn't. She didn't say via bulldozer. She harped on how evil the Guidestones are and how they should be destroyed for months. Made campaign ads about it. She didn't include the word via bulldozer in those campaign ads.
After I put pressure on the county to get rid of these things that nobody knows who owns them, they're in the middle of the field and they have a population control of 500 million. They want to exterminate 8.5 million people, 1 billion people, and they think that's okay.
Oh, wait. Okay. Hold on a second. Let's just do the math here real quick. The Guidestones do say we should cap society at 500 million in the event that there's a nuclear holocaust and we're trying to rebuild society. So if you're trying to rebuild, it says try to keep society under 500 million. And actually, that's a good number. Do you know how many people the Earth can actually sustain? 2 billion is the maximum. If we have over 2 billion, we're using resources faster than we can create them. So 500 million's good. That's actually a decent number to stop at. And if we were trying to rebuild society from zero, yeah, I mean, I would say that'd be great. Let's try to maintain it at that number if possible. Try to discourage having kids, give credits to people who don't have children, things like that. No, she's saying right now, people want to take out the excess. Everybody over 500 million. But let's just do the math on her calculation there. Hey, listen one more time to what she said there.
Exterminate.
No, but okay.
8.5 million people, 1 billion people.
Wait, okay. So we start at 500 million, and then we go to 8.5 million. I'm not sure where we got that number. And where did 1 billion come into all of this? Candace, we're about to pass the 8 billion person mark pretty soon in the next, I don't know, couple years. I don't know how long. Anyway, 8 billion minus 500 million is 7.5 billion. I'm not sure where she got 8.5 million or 1 billion from, but her math doesn't seem to be adding up, which, funny enough, is exactly what I expected from Candace Taylor, to be perfectly honest with you.
8.5 million people, 1 billion people, and they think that's okay. They're satanic, they're evil, and no, they have no place in Georgia. They have no place in America. So, but did I say anything about blowing them up? No, I did not. And so the media has painted this awful picture. They've excited people in a negative way. So whether it was one of a stalker I've had for a while.
Yeah, she didn't specifically tell anybody to go out there and take a bomb and blow it up. If she had, she would be in jail because that's inciting violence. That's why people like Candace Taylor, like Bill O'Reilly, and Glenn Beck, many others, use what we call stochastic terrorism. It's a form of terrorism that people use where they don't want to get in trouble, so they demonize somebody or something. Every single night, come out there and say it over and over and over again until somebody does something about it. That's stochastic terrorism. Nobody has claimed that you specifically said go out there and blow them up. No one said that you said that. We were always talking about stochastic terrorism.
Whether it was someone who hated me for a while because of my conservative ideas and believing in Jesus, guns, and babies.
Yeah, it's always about persecution, isn't it?
I don't know. But what I do know is that me and those Guidestones coming down from lightning had nothing to do with each other.
So this is the route that these people are taking. They are doing everything they can to distance themselves from it and to claim that God was the one that actually took them down. This is very clearly Stu Peters and Candace Taylor's fault. This is the direct result of stochastic terrorism. But in an attempt to avoid blame for this situation, they're blaming it on lightning. God, I'm sorry. They're blaming it on God. It's all God's fault. Blame God for all of this. And in addition to all that, downplaying the seriousness of it by saying it was vandalism rather than what it actually was, which is terrorism. Absolutely bizarre, man. Does this woman really believe it was a lightning strike? Or is she just trying to deflect blame? I think she actually believes it, in my opinion. I do. I think she actually believes that it was lightning. This is a perfect out, a perfect escape route for her so that she can deflect blame. So it works out perfectly, but I really do think that she believes this. I think she believes that God struck these things down because they were part of the satanic cabal or whatever else. I really think that she is just out of her head on Jesus. Let me know if you disagree with me in the comments or on Twitter @TelltaleAtheist.